Sitaram, my humble Sitaram, and Namaste and Pranam, and good evening to all of you wonderful divine soul of this universe. Today is Ram Navami. Some part celebrating Ram Navami tomorrow, some celebrated yesterday. But in New York, because of the astrological positioning of New York, then in New York we celebrate Ram Navami today. Shri Ram born 12 midday. Shri Ram born 12 midday Navami, on the Navami Tithi. So the name of the Parba, describe when it is being done. Very simple. There ought to be no confusion, because the name Ram Navami. Navami means the 9 Tithi. 9 Tithi means the 9 lunar calendar day, the 9 lunar day. We have solar day, the Western calendar deal with the sun, and we have the lunar calendar deal with the moon. And 99% of our parbas or celebration is calculated on the moon calendar. So Navami means 9 Tithi. And so 12 midday today has been Navami in New York. And so once more I greet you again, Ram Ram, in the name of Prabhu Shri Ram, in the name of Prabhu, the Supreme Master, who manifest, as Prabhu Shri Ram. So let me offer a little prayer here before I commence my little pravachan. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswate Namaha. Shri Guru Charana Kamalabhyo Namaha. Mata Pitri Charana Kamalabhyo Namaha. Shri Ramachandraya Bhyo Namaha. Sita Mata Bhyo Namaha. My salutation unto the Lord as Ganesha, who remove all impediments, obstacle, and purify our heart and mind. Unto God as Saraswati Ma, the giver of knowledge and wisdom. Unto my Guru, my teachers, my preceptors. Unto the feet of my parents, I bow with salutation, love, and devotion. And to all you wonderful, beautiful viewers, all you beautiful soul and divine soul, again my salutation with a bowed head to each and every one of you. Although we cannot reach physically, we can hear each other through Facebook. So thank God again for Facebook. And today, as we mark a day of Ram Navami, I would like to give a pravachan about the Ramayan. Is the Ramayan fiction or factual? And so I have been prompted to do this pravachan. I did this pravachan a little while back in Sri Tulsi Mandir. Probably 3 months or 4 months ago, I did this pravachan that I want to do here at Sri Tulsi Mandir, but I'm going to redo it again because someone else sent me another video. So there are a few videos out there where these these, they call themselves Jagat Guru and Sat Guru, and they criticizes. They criticize another person's belief. My question is, how can a person who call themselves elevated, who call themselves divine, or who call themselves spiritual person, a spiritual elevated person, learned person, they call themselves gurus, Jagat Guru, Sat Guru, all the names, yet how can a person of wisdom, a person of learning, condemn another person's belief? That shouldn't be so. A learned person, a wise person, respect each and every person's belief and faith. They do not criticize another personal belief. A belief is someone's personal inner feelings of the heart and the mind. That is where faith and belief come from. Belief and faith is what someone experienced through the heart, is their personal belief, and what they believe in. Why should we criticize and condemn? That is not a learned person. A learned person, a person of wisdom, a person who call themselves these big names, it is not meant for them. But when they do it, it shows their quality. It shows that they are not wise. It shows that they are not learned as they are claiming. But they go about their way doing some good profession, sending some good messages, and they are missed when they get the people attention and the followers. Then they start to mix their discussion and discourse with other messages which are totally not necessary. So I'm referring to two videos I saw where this guru criticizes Shri Ram. He criticizes and condemns Shri Ram. And I get to understand there's another lecturer at some college or university. There's a petition I get to understand is going around. I didn't get the petition. I didn't see it. But this lecturer is also, I guess, following this guru of condemning and criticize Prabhu Shri Ram. Now, according every religion comes from a belief system. Every religion comes from a faith. You have faith and you believe. Whatever someone believes is their belief. And so, if we believe in God, then whatever form of God we believe, let us accept that and continue to be a refined person. A refined person does not criticize another person's way of worship and who they worship. As per our belief, as per the Ramayan, the story, the katha, come from a Ramayan. Valmiki Ramayan, written in Sanskrit, then was rewritten by Sri Tulsidas, bringing the Sri Ram Charitamanas Ramayan. In this Ramayan, in our text that we believe in, it is stated that Prabhu Shri Ram is an incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu. Bhagwan Vishnu, who is one of the trinity of the supreme force and power governing this universe as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Bhagwan Vishnu is the maintaining force and energy of this universe, and through him, through that aspect of that almighty powerful Lord, he manifests himself as Shri Ram because of many reasons. Many reasons have bring about the Lord to his bhakta. So it is because of the love. One of the main reasons is because of his love for his devotees, because of his love for his children, because he wants to teach, he wants to come and show the practicality of the theoretical aspect, so he come himself. So God descend so man can ascend by showing the teaching and philosophies. So there are quite few, I will not go in here, but our Ramayan tells us, this Ramayan base, it begin by saying that Shri Ram is an incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu. Shri Ram is a manifestation of the divine Lord Almighty who governed this entire universe. That is what the Ramayan begin with. And then the whole katha flows about how it happened, why it happened, where he went, who he has reached. And so we believe in the Ramayan. Therefore, if someone do not believe in the Ramayan, then they should not read the Ramayan. The Ramayan is meant for people who believe that Bhagwan Vishnu take an incarnation as Prabhu Sri Ram. So one of my plead is to send a message that if those who do not believe in Ramayan, then don't preach the Ramayan, don't quote from the Ramayan. Don't quote from the Ramayan, don't refer to the Ramayan, because the Ramayan doesn't belong to you. And so that is my main point, primary point at my beginning. And so my next point is, this guru saying he described living in the forest. What does it take in living in the forest? And he continued to condemn the way how the katha unfolds in the Ramayan. He go on to say that he spent some time in the jungle. He got lost. And when he comes out, finally he get out of the jungle without food, and all these insects bite, people could hardly recognize him. That is a tough deal to be in the forest. And so that may be so, that is so, because the jungle today is far, far different from the jungle 8,000 years ago. He continued to say that the story shown like a love story where Mata Sita is dancing like a movie, that they make it like a movie. No way. This guy did not read the Ramayan. No way in the Ramayan. I must let you know, for those of you who look at his video, have an open mind and think about it, that we need some logical and common sense. Some people, they are big and high up there, but they lose their human instinct. They use their common sense. And this is what many people do not have, their common sense. And so, no way in the Ramayan, ask any Pandit, any priest, no way in the Ramayan it has portrayed that Mother Sita was dancing and creating a flirty situation, like a love affair. And this is the way he put it. So he is talking something which is not there. He is talking the untruth. If the Ramayan, if we base our argument on the Ramayan does not portray that. Where he get that from, I don't know. He is making up his own story. Furthermore, he said it is impractical for Prabhu Sri Ram to travel from Ayodhya to Rameshwar. Is walking like the whole of India. Is walking like the whole of India. That it is impractical. It is a fiction. So today I'm going to base some common sense. Common sense is important. The last night at Sri Tulsi Mandir, I give the story of the common sense, which many people do not have. And sometimes it is said more somebody become egoistic, they lose their common sense. So I have here, I have drawn a map of India, and I must tell you, I will have a pretty lady here to help me hold this map here. Come, pretty lady. Show your face a little there and say Sitaram everyone. So she is going to help me to hold this map, and I hope you can see it clearly. So Ayodhya is up here, right, in Uttar Pradesh. Ayodhya is up here. This is the map of India. This is Lanka at the bottom here. This is Uttar Pradesh, north of India. Up here is north, south, right, South India. So Ayodhya is up here, and this is the journey trace. If you can see this mark in pink, this journey has been traced by archaeologists and historians. This is here is Rameshwar. Rameshwaram is where he have made at the seashore that Shiva Lingam. At this point, he had to cross and go to Lanka. So his journey started from Ayodhya and winds down all the way to Rameshwar. The distance from Ayodhya to Rameshwar is, I have it here, is 1,600 miles. 1,600 miles from Ayodhya to Rameshwar. If he should have walked 1 mile per day, 1 mile is no hard distance to cover. If Sri Ram should have walked 1 mile only for the whole day, he would have taken 4.5 years, right? Listen, he would have taken 4.5 years if he just do 1 mile per day to travel from Ayodhya to Rameshwaram. He spent 14 years. So just by doing 1 mile per day, he would have taken 4.5 years only. So right away, we see clearly that that journey is practical. The journey from traveling from Ayodhya to Rameshwaram is very practical. So let me rest this down a little here. I will come back to this. Why I say it is practical, because in those days, there were saints and sages throughout India. India is known as the country of spiritualism. India is known as the country of saints and sages and swamis. And when we look at the Ramayan, the Ram Saga Ramayan, or even if we read the Ramayan, it has shown and portrayed clearly that throughout everywhere they went, there were saints and sages with their chelas. All over, there were hermitage. There were hermitages and villages and farmers throughout India. So when there are hermitage, it has shown that the saint has traveled from one hermitage to the next hermitage. They keep traveling and they reach their neighboring hermitage. They go to the neighboring village. And so there was trackway that lead from hermitage to hermitage. And it was easily accessed to traverse in the forest or in the jungle or in the bushy areas. Why I say these two, some practicality comes in here too. And when somebody don't have practicality, they can talk garbage and nonsense because they don't have common sense and they don't have practicality. Now, some time ago, this is a true story. This is a true story. In our village there in Crabble Creek, my parents used to do farming at a place called California Creek. So if you don't hear about California Creek, there is a California Creek in Guyana. but it is from Molson Creek. It is 26 miles down towards going down the Quarantine River towards the direction of Oriala. So those of us from Crabble Creek and other areas, we will know Molson Creek. We know Oriala where it is. And California Creek was 26 miles away from Molson Creek. From the side of our little hut and farm, I went there quite a few times as a teenager with my parents. And there were other farmers there too. Beside of us, there was two brothers. They were in their hut, their banaf. We call it banaf, a little house that you go there and you spend 2 weeks. Instead of traveling 26 miles with the boat take like 2 hours to reach there, because those days you either had to paddle or you have a little engine that called the seagull engine that it go very slow. It was a low-powered outboard engine called the Seagull. I remember we had one. So instead of traveling back and forth with the rough tides, these farmers will go there and they will stay. But what happened? There were many farmers and they used to travel from hut to hut and village. So there was a trackway. One time, these two brothers, if you want to know their names, you can text me or message me or call me. I called their name when I did it at 3 Tulsi Mandir, but I don't want to call their name again. They were living like 4 houses away from us at Crabble Creek there. And the two brothers had some disagreement. One of the younger brother, had a disagreement with the older brother. And so that younger brother, what he did, one morning, he just leave the hut, he leave this banaf and travel and walk. He walk along the coastline. He walk along the coastline from California Creek all the way to Crabwood Creek. 26 miles he has done in one day. And this is about 40 years ago. This is about 40 years ago. This brother traveled through the bushes, through the jungle, 26 miles he covered in one day. What about Shiram traveling 1 mile per day, could have done it in 4.5 years. So at that time, there was this trackway. But today, there is no trackway there because there is no farming done there. People are not doing any farming any longer there, and there is no hut, there is no banaf, and there is no trackway. And it will be highly impossible for a person to walk that 26 mile along that same trackway in today's day. It is near impractical. And so, using this practicality and common sense, that saying that it is fiction that Sri Ram could have not walked from Ayodhya to Rameshwaram is somebody who don't know what they are talking about. So you have to be careful who you are listening to. We have to use some common sense, some judgment, some practicality when we are listening to these guys. And it is amazing that no organization in India is going against this guy. We are too quiet as Hindus, and when we are quiet as Hindu, people walk upon us, they do all sort of thing, they condemn us and we take it easy. I'm imploring the organizations to take up this challenge on these gurus, Jagat gurus, and Sadgurus, and all of them, when they build ego. You know, they come up from time to time, they come up and they call themselves God. Osho was one. Osho, if you Google Osho, his real name is Jagneshwar, I think. He called himself God, but he's banned from 26 countries. So these are the nature of these type of people that slowly they build their ego. They feed their ego and their ego climb to the head, And then they start to claim that their knowledge is only the right knowledge. Their knowledge is superior knowledge. Non-knowledge is superior than any other knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to purify your heart and mind and make a person a refined human being. And so, to continue with this map here, these names, all the names that is mentioned in the Ramayan, please note all the names that are mentioned in the Ramayan are in the map of India. Every of the names. So the location, the name of the place correspond to a physical place that is in present-day India map. It is there. So the name used are not fictional. The name used are real names. And so the first place or one of the places they reach up to in the Ramayan, Prayag. We heard about Prayag. Shri Ram went to Prayag, where he reached up with the Bhadravaj ashram. Prayag is today there. It is in Allahabad. Prayag is where the three rivers reach together. There are many of you who went to India. That is one of the places, Triveni. Triveni is where the three rivers reach, or it's called Prayagraj, the king of Prayag, of where you go and you take your snan, your bath, and you can do your meditation and yoga. After Prayag, the other main name is Chitrakoot. And Chitrakoot is there in the map, and it is in Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is in Chitrakoot. And then after Chitrakoot, where he went to the Dandaka forest. Right? He went to the Dandaka forest. The Dandaka forest is shown in the India map, and the area and the whole section is shown clearly in the map of India, Dandaka forest, which is made up of Amravati, where he reached up with Atri Muni, Ambarish, Satna, Ramtik, Nagpur. These are all the places that is listed in the Ramayan, and these are all the places listed in the Indian map. So these are real names. Then he went to Panchavati. Panchavati is in Nasik. So there is a place called Panchavati in the map. It is where is it is Nasik. Tapovan. Tapovan, this is the area where Surparkana nose was cut. Karadushan and 14,000 demons were killed. And so kidnapping was done in here, the kidnapping of Mother Sita. And this is in Panchavati. And then there's a place called Lepakshi. After Panchavati, a place in the India map is called Lepakshi. And there where Jatayu was killed. Jatayu was killed at this place in the Ramayan. And now the place is in the map called Lepakshi. That means, oh, raise, oh, bird. That is the word what Lepakshi mean. Raise, oh, bird. Then they went to Tuljapur. Tuljapur is in the map. We can look up these names. Tuljapur, Devi Temple of Lord Shiva. And Mother Sati is there. Kabanda Ashram is there. Kabanda Ashram, Shevarima Ashram. We have Hampi is a name in the map, Hampi, called the Hanuman Hali. These are all in the map, in the Indian map. If you Google the Indian map, Hanuman Haldi, Hampi, the city of Vanar is in Chennai. South India in Chennai, we have Hanuman Hali, Hampi, and Kiskinda. Kiskinda Khan, we hear in the Ramayan. Kiskinda is in Chennai, in South India. There is where is the Pampa Lake, Rishi Mukya Parvat. they are there in Kiskinda. And so these are places in the map. And that area is called Tamil Nadu in India. And then, of course, Rameshwaram. This is the last part in the India map before they went to Lanka. And so even today, there is a proof now the bridge is there. The bridge that is described in Ramayan, there is the physical bridge that is called Ramasetu Bridge. NASA take out a picture clear that there was a bridge there. There is a low bridge. So I don't see why people want to condemn the Ramayan and say the Ramayan is fiction when all the names listed there, when that activity of building that bridge, and there is proof that a bridge is there, then what more do we want? What more evidence that we want that the story is fiction when there is proof? And even in Lanka, there is a, let me see this name, the Hakgala Botanical Garden, where the Ashoka Vatika was, the same story where Mother Sita was kept, Ashoka Vatika. The name there is a botanical garden is made there. And the soil where Ravan was living area, up to today, it is said the soil in that area is dark. The soil is dark or black in that area than the soil in other part of Lanka, which give some evidence that yes, indeed, there was a huge fire or something that caused the soil to be blackened. And there is a village there in Sri Lanka that is called Sita Elia. Sita Elia, we can Google this, name after Mother Sita. A village is named after Mother Sita. There is a Sita Amau temple too. So these are names, all these names are in the Ramayan. With the exact location stated in the Ramayan, it is also shown clearly in the map of India. So, thank you, Sati, for holding this map for me.
You're welcome.
And so there, I showed you in the map the names. So the journey is easily coverable. The names are there. The names coincide exactly of the Ramayan with the map today to show that the name are all real names. And so we find that there are as time go by, there are so many changes. There are so many changes that even in our own situation, sometimes the mind might not able to accept a certain aspect of changes that happen. For example, let us go back to Crabble Creek now. I born and grow in Crabble Creek. I not only born and grow Crabble Creek, you know, I married also in Crabble Creek. Right? So, how does landmark change so much? Landmark change over time that the whole place become changed totally. Crabble Creek derive its name by a creek, that name Crabwood Creek. That is the way how Crabwood Creek got its name. And many places got their name by some landmark. So there was a creek that run from the rice field area of Crabble Creek, run across and go to the sea, to the Quarantine Sea, river, the Quarantine River. And on that creek, there was crabwood growing at the side. There's a wood named crabwood too, and this wood is going out of existence now too. You're not hearing too much of crabwood. Crabwood was popular when I was a teenager. And those of us who we know Crabwood Creek was popular, and Crabwood, the wood. So this creek run across. How I know so much about this creek? Because this creek runs side of my brother residence, where my brother Golbai, Bharat, his right name is Bharata. Bharata, like one of the brother, his right name is Bharata Bisesar. Golbai, and everybody know him as HO2. You know, everybody know him as HO2. And so, talking about that, I see Priya is watching briefly, I can see, and Sundar. And so, thank you all again for looking, but Sundar can tell you more. But side of their house, there is where that creek has run. That creek was there beside their house and run across from the rice field area. And so after time, the creek gets shallow out. And after more time goes by, the creek was full up in the house area. So when you go there now, there is no more creek. The creek has been filled. So today, if you go and you say, wait, there was a creek here? To the young minds, how can there be a creek here? Where is the creek? So over time, landmark change. And so much thing change within 40 or 50 years. Within my time, so much changes has happened in Guyana over 50 years. That if we take a child now and tell that child what and what was here, in their mind they will say this looked like fiction. There was a time, in our time, I always talk about this, the trench had nice clear water, clean water. You can drink that water. We play in that trench. We bathe in that trench. So much things. We make raft at a plant called mokomoko. Those of you who know mokomoko. We put the mokomoko together and make a raft and go over the trench too. I went the last time, I didn't see mokomoko. I don't know if mokomoko is out now. But we used to play ready catcher, hide and seek, all on the edge of the trench. So many games. We used to walk in the bushy areas behind the trench where I live in Crabwood Creek, by the Coca area. There was a portion of bush from the trench to the seashore. And so we, with my friends living right at the back street there, we used to go and play on the tree, a game called T-Cole. And there is a trackway that leads you clear. People normally traverse there back and forth. So as little boys, teenager, we go and we play T-Cole on the tree. The last time I went 7 years ago, there is only jungle, there is no track, there is nothing there. You cannot access that track to go to that tree again. So within 50 years, the same water that we used to play and bathe in, you don't want to put your hand inside. Those days, teenager, I remember the neighbors, people used to go and they got something called, what is that? Girgira. Girgira. And they used to get food from the water. Today you cannot do that. There is no girgira. Girgira gone out of existence. I remember teenager too, or even not a teenager, 8, 9 years. I remember when those persons who do the rice field, when the rain start to fall, they go to close, they call coca box. That is the box that the water run through, and you drain the land. So when the rain comes, you have to block that box to catch the water. And when the rain fall, there are many rice farmers who they will bring food of the water. They call it eggs. Those days, they used to bring like hasa eggs. People used to get hasa eggs. Can you get that these days? No. Those look like a fiction. It all look like a dream. It all look like a fairy tales. When you think about 50 years ago, only 50 years ago, so many changes has happened that it all look like a fiction. When we look back 50 years ago, it all look and happen like it's a dream, like it's a fiction that happened 50 years ago. So if we have experienced 50 years of difference, what about 8,000 years ago? This is common sense. We have to reflect. If 50 years ago, the changes in Crabble Creek happened that it will look like fiction to the young mind. The person now who born in America, you take them and you tell them this and this would be here. This and this we used to be here. We used to play in this trench. They will go, is that so? It's hard. It will be hard for them to conceive that this is the place we used to play, and we used to go in that jungle over there and play all these activities. To their mind, it looked like fiction. Likewise, that is why many people, not using their common sense, not using their judgment, not using their practicality, are saying that the Ramayan is fiction. And they call themselves guru and all these names, and they are condemning the Ramayan and say the Ramayan is fiction. We have to be careful. I am just pleading to all of you, be careful of these guys. What they are giving out there and condemning something which is not need to be condemned. Another point he mentioned about the food. I mentioned this already too, and I will do it again. He mentioned he was starving and he nearly starved. Not understanding again that fruits changes in season. Different trees bear different types. And if you can remember, I remember there are some fruits that we had back home that we didn't plant it in the garden. These fruit grow by themselves. You will find them in the bushy areas. When you go play by the sea dam, you will find them there. Bulbuli is number one. Right? We remember bulbuli, reddish, small reddish. There are two types of bulbuli. Today you go, there is no bulbuli. I went the big one with the little powdery thing around it. It's bigger than the normal bulbuli, the small one. Those you have to rub it on your hand or a cloth and you blow off the dust, because if that dust enter your eye, it itch a lot. Those are out of existence. There's another one, cheese and bread, I talk about, and the last time many have say and remember the cheese and bread. Cheese and bread grows on a vine with thorn. It's reddish, black seed, white flesh. Simitu. These are all fruits of the jungle, all fruits of the bushy area. Nobody plants simitu. You go to the bushy area, you pick simitu. Long padu. You have the short padu. Some they call it whitey, but there is a long padu. It grows like Saijan, thinner, very thinner than Saijan. That you don't plant it and you don't find it in the home area. You find it in the bushy area, in the jungle. And there's another one I heard they still have it, the bullet seed. Bullet wood seed. Bullet wood seed, a very sweet fruit. I had that, I don't know, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But that grow at season too. And locust. Locust is another fruit of the jungle, of the forest. But today you don't have locusts. Monkey apple. Monkey apple, I think I still see monkey apple. I see Byrosh was enjoying his monkey apple in Guyana. He went. But that is another fruit. You don't plant it, it grows in the jungle. And popo, baby cucumber. In Trinidad, there's some, or not Trinidad, in some other regions, they tell me kwaku. I was finding out about kwaku. There's a fruit called gamar. I was talking to my brother. Right beside of his house was a gamar tree. Gamar is out of existence. Gamar is a fruit in the forest. I was talking to a sister. She said gamar still exists in China. They are importing gamar, a very nutritious food, very nutritious fruit, gamar. Piwa is from Trinidad. We have the plum. We have the governor cherry. We have the balata fruit. And there are so many fruits that you can get from the jungle 50 years ago, 40 years ago, but today you cannot get these fruits. The fruit gone out of existence. And if there are some of the fruits remain, then they grow seasonal. So what these gurus are saying is they are not putting any practicality into the situation, but they just want to brout out what comes to their mind, what they come to their mind. So fruits, these fruits are fruits of the forest, of the bush. I remember when I went to Oriala, there was a lot of cashew tree, all in the bush cashew trees. So cashew is another thing that grow in the forest. You don't plant in your garden. So there are tons of fruits that you can get from the forest 50 years ago. What about 8,000 years ago? Right? This is only 50 years ago. What about 8,000 years ago? Let us put that in, in our thought. So what was available then, landscape, what was available then is not present today. That doesn't mean it was not there. It's mentioned, that doesn't mean it was not there. Not because it's not there today, it was not there. Not because there's no proof today, doesn't mean it was existent then and back then. There's no proof for that. So please be aware. Please be aware of these people who are putting these videos. These videos. Please be aware of them. And so there are more and more stuff. Now, there are a lot of information on internet regarding the journey of Prabhu Shri Ram. There are some archaeologists who went there and make some testing on that journey. And they have indeed said that there are some archaeological studies show that yes, Sri Ram journey, those things that mentioned in the Ramayan, those are there. And so we have one of them, Dr. B. Bilal. So if you remember this name and you want to do more research, B. Bilal is an archaeologist. And I have more names to refer to. First Governor General of India, Sri Rajaji. You can Google First Governor General of India, Sri Rajaji. English Indiologist, Sir William Jones. Sir William Jones. Philip Lutgendorf. Philip Lutgendorf, a Western author. They went special on that journey, the pathway I show you. The pathway is now indicated. So if you want to know that journey, the trail that Sri Ram took is the same one I show you on the map. You can Google yourself and see that trail. They have now bring all the name, and from point to point, they have come close to a trail that Sri Ram took. And so we must also remember that the Valmiki Ramayan say clearly that when the prince were in their school, in the ashram of Valmiki, Vishwamint, the Valmiki Ramayan say that Vishwamint taught the prince the art of Bal and Atibal. So when they were in the Gurukul, they were taught. They were not only taught physical science, but they were taught spiritual and Vedic science. We know the Vedic science was very high. Example, 5,000 years ago, the Mahabharata, all these weapons are great weapon heads. Today they are seeing and correlating to weapons. There were scientific weapons calculated. precise weapons used. And so India is known for divine science and Vedic science. Science of not the physical body, but science of the spiritual body, the mental body, the inner body. Saints and sages have spent their whole life for the development and understanding and studying the psychology and the subtle body and the whole physiological functioning of this body. And so Shri Ram and Lakshman were taught Bal and Atibal. Endow them with that knowledge of immunity from disease and good health, Ayurveda, freeing them from pangs of sleep, hunger, and thirst. So they have learned the science to free them, or they can undergo long period without sleep, without food, and without water. They have done that science according to the Valmiki Ramayan. So Ramayan is telling us that they were trained to undergo long period without food and water. So knowing this, even not too long ago, we find that people could have hold their breath. Even today, some of the saintage, they can hold their hunger for days. They can drink water without days. They can do without food for days by knowing how to operate the subtle body. And so the sadhu and the guru and whatever, they are saying that how that is possible. When the Valmiki Ramayan say they were taught and trained into this, like how people are trained to doing different things. And so there are quite a few videos there to show the trail, So if you want to Google on YouTube, we can Google Lord Rama in Exile, an Epic Journey, right? Lord Rama in Exile, an Epic Journey, done by Satish Rai, right? Satishrai, was done on August 4, 2020. It's a 2 hours video. So this is a video to show the epic journey. There's another one called Rama's Route to Lanka. Rama's Route to Lanka, the inspiration, right? Done September 15, 2016. September 15, 2016. The name of that again is Rama's Route to Lanka. Check it out. A third one is Proving the Historicity of Rama, right? Proving historicity of Rama. It is done by reddiff.com. Rediff, REDIFF.com, by Dr. Satya Pal Singh. Satya Pal Singh, done April 14, 2008. And so let us do our research. Let us use some practicality. Let us don't believe. Hinduism, Sanatan, our system is being attacked. We are being attacked from the time since the Mughals took over India. Look how much atrocities Sanatan Dharma went through. From the time of Mughal, they take over and they rule India and they destroy. And even up to today, in this modern day society, when people do not learn that to respect a human being, belief and faith, that there is only one God, then they go and they criticize and they want to convert. There's big issue in conversion. Why converting someone? It means that you believe in religion and you don't believe in God. People who convert and they boast and they brag, my religion, my this, my that, is showing that we are lack of spiritual knowledge. There is only one God. Still conversion. They want to convert the Hindus. So we have to be careful of the missionaries too. They are going around and fooling people. You know why? If you want a job to be a missionary, you can get a job. There are tons and tons of jobs to be a missionary, a paid job. If you go on Google, job for missionary, there are many websites that you can apply with high pay. With high pay. So Google it yourself, job for missionary, and you will see how many website comes up there. And you can get a job, you will be paid, and you will go around, and whatever you do for money. It doesn't come from your heart. Anything you are paid for, you do it for the money because it's a job. You are working for it. And so what is done, the missionary are being paid to go around and fool people. So we have to be careful of the missionary. We have to be careful of people who come around and fool you and want to win you over on them side. Be careful. Our system is called Sanatan Dharma. Even today, we are being squeezed. We cannot even get a holiday because we take it too easy and quiet. So we have to be proactive. We have to be staunch. We have to be firm. We have the faith in the Lord. We have to be firm and strong faith. So is the Ramayan fiction or factual? You make the judgment. Make the call. As I have give you some information, I have give you some practicality, I have give you eyes to open up our common sense and reflect about our Ramayan. Another point I want to make before I close is that these gurus and Mahagurus and Jagat Gurus and Sadgurus, especially in India by itself, they are in India. India by itself has a lot of problems that they can help out in India himself. According to a research by University of Delhi, right, a research, this doesn't have to be by research, we see it in movie, we see it in the news. But to give a reference, research of University of Delhi done by Radhika Kapoor. Radhika Kapoor did a research in April 2019. And he said in rural areas, the major problem is poverty, education, unemployment, homelessness, crime, violence, and women and girls who in most cases experience criminal acts, violent acts, verbal abuse, physical abuse, neglect, discrimination. In a lot of the villages, there are a lot of superstition. In a lot of the villages in India, there are child marriages, human trafficking, children forced laborers in factories. There are so many social problems right in India. Why are not these gurus and Mahagurus help out with these type of situation than rather put their energy to blaspheme a system that have brought peace and calm and tranquility and peace for millions of years, at least thousands of years? The Ramayan has always held society together. The Ramayan has always held family together. The Ramayan has always preached the knowledge of truth, of honesty, of respect, of regard for your parents, for your teacher, for your society. That's what the Ramayan does. Why do you want to blaspheme the Ramayan when there is order social, which the Ramayan is helping out with? The Ramayan is helping out in this problem, and now you are going to blaspheme the Ramayan. Why not focusing your energy and your thought to help your society, your own villages right in India? Human trafficking, child marriages. They said research has shown The world most dangerous country for women is India. India is regarded as the world most dangerous country for women by one author. Giving birth to a girl child is a curse in certain part in India. Now I'm calling on these gurus and these Mahagurus and Jagat Gurus and Sadgurus. Let us send them the message. Try to look after your home before you look after somebody else's home. Look after your village. Look after the issue. Ramayan is not an issue. 60% of India are Vaishnavas. That equate like about 600 million. Approximately 600 million people are Vaishnavas and they believe in the Ramayan. How can a person who calls himself educated and wise and elevated, spiritually advanced, use the Ramayan to blaspheme and to break people's faith? It's not good. It's a call unto them. Let it try to help out. A lot of superstition. Many villages have their own belief, which is not practical and logical. So much issues. A wise person will want to dedicate themselves to these issues that are on blasphemous system that is causing peace and calm and bring society and people together. So you make this decision. Share this. You like this? Share this around. Pass it around. Let our Hindu people, Sanatan people become wise. We need our people to become wise and practical and have common sense. And don't believe in everything that these gurus and Mahagurus and Jagat Gurus, what they are telling to us. And so, my apology if I made any mistakes. My apology if I say anything out of context. My apology if I didn't bring out an idea in the right way. My humble apology. And this is my message because it bothers me to know that the Ramayan is blasphemed and nobody is saying anything. Shri Ram, who we pray to, is being blasphemed and criticized on a forum, on a public forum. And the videos are circulated and nobody say anything. It bothers my mind to know in what system we are living when there are so many big Hindu organizations. Not only in America, but in India itself. And everybody choop chop. So when everybody choop chop, they take more advantage. They say, oh, that's right, they good. And that is why he's making more video about it. Because nobody's saying nothing. So please let us know. Let us not be fooled by anyone. Let us all be careful. Saudhan Rahu. So my happy Ram Navami to all of you. I do hope I make sense. I know to myself I make a lot of sense. Using common sense, practicality, and knowledge of the internet and the Ramayan. So my humble Sitaram, may the blessing of Shri Ram be with each and every one of you. May the great Lord be with you. As once more we celebrate Ram Navami. Prabhu Ram came 12 midday. As I said, Navami. Navami means 9 Tithi. That is why it's called Ram Navami. So today is Navami, the 9 Tithi. So in New York, today is the right day as per the calculation, astrological calculation for New York, because we live in New York. So we celebrate it to correspond with the name Ram Navami. So blessing to all of you. And my Sitaram, my Pranam. And I close with a prayer. And a one-line chant. I ask my Dharam Patni, Rama Hitera, Rama Himera. If she can come and we close with that. Rama Hitera mean Ram is for you. Rama Himera mean Ram is for me. Ram Sabakocha Tera Sabakocha. Rama is for everybody. The Lord is there for everybody. The Lord does not discriminate. Whatever name and form you know him as, is only one Supreme Father. There's one Supreme Father. And all religion depend on faith and belief. So if somebody think my belief is wrong, what makes you think your belief is correct? Right? If you think my belief is wrong, what makes you think your belief is right? Belief is in a belief. All religion based on a belief system, right? And so, Rama Hitera, Ram is for you. Rama Himera, Ram is for me. Ram Sabakucha Tera, Ram is for everybody. Ram
hi tera, Ram hi mera, Ram hai sab kuch tera. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Baju Pyare Tu Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Baju Pyare Tu Sita Ram. Ram hai tera, Ram hai mera, Ram hai sab kuch tera. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram. Ram hai tera, Ram hai mera, Ram hai sab kuch tera. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Baju Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanane. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinam Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem se bolo Shri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki, Sanatan Dharma ki, Sita Mata ki. Sita Ram again, blessing and love from our home to your home, to our family to your family. May the great Lord, as Prabhu Shri Ram and Mata Siti, bless your home, your family, your lineage. May he remove all distress and sorrows and pains and discomfort from your life and give you peace and calm and tranquility and bliss, happiness and health.
Om Shanti 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 Om.